Introducing Pat, who's going to discuss why she selected a Granberg height adjustable electric wardrobe lift from Inclusive Living.
Hi, I chose an electric wardrobe lift, the Granberg in particular, because I have rheumatoid arthritis and I've had both shoulders replaced. Whilst I'm no longer in as much pain, the stretch, the range of movement is quite limited, and being able to have to put my arms up to the usual wardrobe pole at the height that it normally is was just too painful, and it was too depressing looking forward to that pain each day. I had the wardrobe pole dropped down by people who came in and did retrofitted, but it was still too high. And I had also looked at manual lifts, and the extent of how high up I had to be able to get my arm up was just ridiculous. So when I found about the electric wardrobe lift, I was sold. It was able to come down to my height, and I could decide where it was to come to, and I'm able to organise my wardrobe with a minimum amount of pain, and in fact I've become much less depressed.
Talking with Pat about sourcing a Granberg height adjustable electric lifting system from Inclusive Living.
It took me over 12 months to find the electric wardrobe lift. I searched for different sorts of wardrobe systems all over Australia. Eventually even I went and looked for them overseas on the internet. I tried to speak to people about that when they were suppliers of manual wardrobe lifts, and I said, well, I can't get my arm up to be able to manage that, and they weren't interested in providing me with any information about where I could get an electric wardrobe lift. If they knew, they didn't tell me, and if they didn't know, I didn't really understand that either. This is an international business, and I thought that people would know. I approached wardrobe builders. They weren't interested either. They wanted to build a certain product to a certain style, which did not meet my requirements. They were not interested in meeting my requirements. Eventually, after 12 months, I found an electric wardrobe lift that could be supplied to me here in Australia, and I found that by accident. I found that quite ridiculous, really. There must be thousands of people across Australia, if not throughout the world, who need electric wardrobe lifts to be able to stay within their own home and be able to manage themselves independently till the day they die. I found it ridiculous that I could only find it by accident, and my mind boggles that there must be people out there who are in desperate need of an electric wardrobe lift and who have basically given up the search.
We're here talking to Pat about her process in purchasing an electric height adjustable wardrobe lift from Inclusive Living.
I got in contact with Inclusive Living in June, and it was installed. In fact, I have 2 electric wardrobe lifts installed in the September. Once I'd seen a demonstration of the model that was available here in Australia, I knew it was exactly what I wanted, and I decided there and then that I actually needed 2, one for short clothes and one for long coats. And I was referred to a home modification service. They understood what it was that I needed. They were able to negotiate with Inclusive Living about purchasing of the wardrobe lifts, and they were able to get in people who were able to not only build it, but actually build it so that I could actually use it. In other words, they actually understood that I had to have the wardrobe come down to a certain height, and they couldn't believe that it had to come down so low. But they were able to do that. And I've had it since September, June to September. That's a pretty good process time for mine. It was miraculous.
Hi, we're here talking to Pat about the outcomes that she has managed to achieve since purchasing and installing her electric height adjustable wardrobe lifts from Inclusive Living?
2 weeks after it was installed, I started to notice that I had much less pain in my upper shoulders, and also I was a lot less depressed. In fact, I was so much less depressed that I was actually able to move to having further home modifications made in other rooms of the house that I live in. This is a major deal for me because the depression of facing the pain of constantly hurting myself, getting clothes out of the wardrobe, had suddenly gone, and that was after 2 weeks. I've now been using it for about 5 months, and I've had 2 further drop downs in pain, to the point where this year I am now able to look forward a lot more to my life, to being able to do things, to being able to do the things that I want, and to be able to do the things that I want that uses my arms. I've found that the electric wardrobe lift has been the best investment I've ever made in pain management. With it there now, I feel quite secure in my home about being able to meet any challenges of the future and being able to stay in my home for the rest of my days. I think that's extremely important, and I think that being able to say that to a group of people and to other people, that this has occurred to you for a fairly modest outlay of money, I think is miraculous. For the price of a fairly modest overseas holiday, I now have confidence in being able to live out my days in my own home. I'm only 64. I expect to be able to go for another good 20 years.